We think people create family and relationships in a range of different ways. Certainly, people who live on the street do, out of necessity and safety. And so, for us, that's one place where we think about sexual freedom is being challenged by the state in particular ways, and has a particular impact for a community that people don't often think about or ignore on a daily basis. I mentioned prisoners, right? And prisons is another place, right, where people aren't in prisons even supposed to have any sort of physical contact with each other whatsoever, right? And to think about the sort of psychological toll that takes over time, being in a situation where you're not supposed to even have any sort of human touch or contact unless you're being shuffled from one place to another by a guard. And certainly sex in prisons, right, is outlawed, and advocates who battle around those issues, and even access to sexual health or sexual education materials in prisons is very important. I also think about women on welfare as another particular group who often we don't frame in kind of a sort of sexual freedom framework when often those phrases get used, but we know the way in which sex and sexuality, particularly targeting poor and low-income women and largely women of color receiving welfare benefits, has been used to deny or to cut back services. One, to say that women on welfare have too many kids or are sucking up all of the public resources because they're having, kids, and the number of kids is to imply wanton, sexual behavior, and so on and so forth. And so for us, doing work actually around welfare and public benefits from a queer perspective is also to include a kind of sexual liberation thinking around women, queer folks' access to their own bodies and how they choose or don't choose to reproduce, and should not be denied public benefits based on those things.